Be part of the bonus content by submitting your question to advice Patreon asked for, or just enjoy watching me make fun of other people's problems. It's a win either way when you support The Habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. Welcome to Advice No One Asked For. It's the feature where someone asks a question to an advice columnist looking for honest help with their lives, and then I find that question and mock them while telling them what someone needed to tell them in the first place. We're keeping it in the family with today's questions. In our first one, perhaps a little too literally. Dear someone who still actually has this job. When my husband and I were first married, I had no idea why his mother and sisters were so hostile. When they started treating our children the same way, my husband finally addressed the issue. We moved out of town, and he finally told me that when he was in his teens and early 20s, he had had sex with all of them, which was why they didn't like me. After an estrangement of many years, he has now started talking to his mother and sisters again. His mother is now in her 70s. It breaks my heart that he is talking to people he had sex with, but he says it is okay because they are family. In my opinion, he should have nothing to do with them. Please tell me how I need to handle things. Signed, how about ostracized in Ohio? Now, it's perfectly normal for mothers to not like the women their sons choose to date or marry, because, wait, what the fuck? Did you just say he had sex with them? Like, regularly? I guess so if you say this took place in his teens and early 20s, like this went on for several years. Just a bog-standard, garden-variety family orgy after dinner. Or maybe there was a rotation for him, like who does the dishes each day. Except in his case, he was the dishes. And they're mad that you took him away from them because now who are they gonna bang? Someone they're not related to by blood? Oh, gross, right? Yeah, this is a fucking new one. I mean, usually mothers, especially of a certain generation, don't like the women that their sons marry because they don't think that she's good enough for their son. Like, they won't take care of their son like they did when it comes to cooking, keeping the house tidy, making sure he has clean clothes, more domestic things. Not because they don't think they're as good at cleaning his pipes as their dear old mother is. And his sisters. Like, seriously, they got websites devoted to fantasies of this shit for weirdos. He was apparently living it before the internet even existed. All of those videos might be based on his life story. Okay, so then, because this isn't already weird enough, maybe it's just the way you wrote it, but you say, it breaks my heart that he's talking to people he had sex with. Are you just treating this like you would if he started talking to an old ex? And now you're jealous? Like, oh, he's talking to some floozy he used to sleep with before we got married. That's his mom and sisters. And when he says it's okay because they are family, does he also mean there's no reason to be jealous? Like, don't worry, honey, nothing's gonna happen. I don't even find my mom that hot anymore. No, he probably shouldn't have anything to do with them, but maybe you shouldn't have anything to do with him either? Like, does he think that was normal? You said you have children. Does he think that they gotta get a few practice pumps in at home before they head out into the real world too? Is he gonna be mad when your children come of age and you're not breaking them in? That's a discussion you should be having sooner rather than later. Because if he doesn't think that there was anything wrong with what was going on in his household, and he wants to keep those traditions alive, you gotta take those kids and get the fuck out of there faster than he can say, hey sis, where are my condoms? And if you do break up with him, at least you know he'll be okay. After all, he knows where he can go to get some rebound sex. Our second question is from someone who's worried about the habits her daughters might be picking up from her husband, which are thankfully a lot more normal than the last one. Dear advice columnist that doesn't call me names. My husband and I are going on 19 years of marriage and have 3 teenage girls. We have had multiple rounds of marriage counseling, mostly with good results, although the benefits seem to be short-lived. Most of our problems have stemmed from my husband's drinking or smoking pot. He's not abusive, he's a good provider, but he just likes to get high. Thank God it's not often, but I'm not, nor have I ever been okay with it. Our girls recently found his pot stash and helped themselves. When I questioned them about where they got it, they admitted they found their dad's stash. For me, this is the last straw. How can I teach my kids this is not okay when their dad's actions say otherwise? I'm now made out to be the prude, since apparently I'm no fun. I'm a nurse, and even if it were legal in our state, I wouldn't use it. I told my husband that I'm done and I'm ready for a divorce. He says I'm being ridiculous. Do I need to lighten up? I think I already know your answer, but I just need to see it to validate my feelings. Let's call her Fed Up in Florida. I love this. I think I already know your answer, but I just need to see it to validate my feelings. I'm writing this letter to get someone to tell me the answer I have in my head so I can say I was right. Okay, so you've been married to this man for 19 years. Let's say you met and got married pretty quick. We'll say you've definitely known him for at least 20 years. You've done a bunch of marriage counseling, which you say most of the problems have stemmed from your husband's drinking or, gasp, smoking pot, but that he's not abusive and that he's a good provider. So, what's the problem? He doesn't get drunk and beat you or the kids. His enjoyment of an adult beverage and a left-handed cigarette from time to time doesn't affect his job. And you even say, thank God it's not often. So that sounds to me like he likes to unwind on the weekend, maybe have a beer after work. But you're not, nor have you ever been okay with it. Well, let me ask you, if you've never been okay with it, why did you marry him 19 years ago? It seems like this is a pretty big part of his lifestyle, and probably always has been. I guarantee you that like 3 years into your marriage, he didn't go, what's this stuff? Marijuana. Well, I'll try anything once, I suppose. And boom, he went from the man you loved in the first place to Tommy Chong. No, it's because you thought you could change him to suit you, hence the marriage counseling to solve the problems you believe he creates. And that's why it doesn't work. Because what? He's saying he'll cut back, and he does for a bit, but then maybe he has a stressful week at work and smokes a little more on Friday night. And now you're pissed at him again because he didn't change. Now, being pissed that he doesn't do a better job of locking his shit up so your kids don't get into it, perfectly valid. But, come on, you said you're a nurse. You know teenagers try shit. And you know as a nurse that no one dies from the weed. Maybe it's better that they got something from home that you know your husband safely uses than getting some shit from a stranger who might want to work out, alternative payment methods? But yeah, if he's fine with your daughter smoking weed, and you're not, and that's a philosophical difference you're just now getting around to discussing, maybe it is time to move on. Of course, I can't help but laugh at the part where you told him, I'm done, I want a divorce. And he was like, ha, you're being ridiculous. Mellow out, man. But it sounds to me like you shouldn't have ever been married in the first place, and that it's taken you 19 years to figure that out. Good news is, you're what, mid-40s right now? So there's still time to find some single straight-edge dude who likes two things, Jesus and sobriety. Unless, of course, you do drive men to become alcoholics and addicts, in which case, well, at least you'll know for sure who the problem was in your marriage. Sorry if that didn't validate your feelings. I'm Buckley, and you're welcome.